Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What a rookie mistake. This is how we should start this show, of course.
Dear Roham, I just wanna say I'm trying, but all of the packs I'm buying are full of trash, so no thanks. Oh look, another 60k Drew Eubanks is stupid, and I don't wanna say you owe me, but my username's Top Shot Tony. So if you find it in your heart somewhere, deliver me a legendary moment.
Wow, wow. What a morning, huh? What a morning. First and foremost, shout out Rock and Roll for G Dunn for putting that banger together of Dear Roham. Yeah, listen. I'm trying to be a mature, responsible adult about this, and I want to take in this information and break it down for you in a digestible way that we can talk about as a community. But God, I told you. I mean, take all of the fun aside, take all of the Zakarians getting his bags elsewhere. The one damn thing we've been consistent about this entire time is that the infrastructure was broken from the top down and nothing, not supply, not scarcity, not queues, not a goddamn Top Shot app could fix what's broken from the top down. Oh God. I just yeah. And there's been a couple of great responses. For those that don't know, an article came out today. I had to do a little homework because I'll be honest, I'm not usually reading deep into Web3, but apparently there are two like pretty mainstream Web3 publications. We've got CoinDesk and The Block. And this piece was on The Block today. So if you're just finding this out for the first time, I'll share it right now. So an article came out on The Block. NBA Top Shot CEO's decadent lifestyle, public shaming led to toxic culture as Dapper flails. Couple of things, right? So it sounds like 11 different Dapper or former Dapper employees were interviewed during this time. And there's like let's be honest here before let's try to be fair about this before we actually like do a deep dive. So you know, I can't think of many places that I was either fired or laid off from that I would then go into a meeting and be like, you know what I loved? That place. Like you obviously that's going to color some of your experience, some of your remarks. So I think we should put that out there that it's not a completely unbiased thing, right? So clearly they have some stuff in there. Um, some of the employees still have equity at stake too. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I will say it brought multiple former employees out to fire some tweets out. I saw Janie came back to Twitter after her hiatus. I saw Carrie weigh in as well. Mac Texas, I wonder if they knew this was coming out and that's why they were getting an AMA. I don't know. I know. I can't believe, guys, but we get sources, Dapper sources, current sources say that I think they were aware of it this morning before it came out. I don't know how much of a head start that they had. Um, Also heard that it could have been worse. That it could have been worse, which was kind of crazy from to hear that from some people. But and I can't go into detail about what that is, but the fact that it could have been worse tells you all you need to know. Uh, so yeah, let's what we'll do a little rundown of the article. I think some of it's pretty like we know a lot of this, right? We know a lot of this. Yeah, Nine Lives Lounge says it's a FUD piece, so don't worry. I also saw Cleagains, shout out Cleagains from Moment Ranks, was like going back and forth in my mentions a little bit too. Like, listen, guys, yeah, there is some bias over there, right? There is some bias, of course, like I just acknowledged, but also like Nine Lives Lounge has some bias. Of course, they're gonna say it's a hit piece. That affects their bags. Of course, they're gonna say it's a hit piece. Dapper invests in Moment Ranks and the collective. Like, of course, those people are going to say it. And like, honestly, full disclosure, I'm probably a little biased too, because I've been saying this same exact thing for over a year. I'll pay someone to make a super cut of all of the times that I've brought this up in the last year. Anyways, let's get back to the article. We'll talk about the article, talk about like what this probably means moving forward. Because I got some thoughts. All right. So again, some of this we knew, like the Diplo thing, right? Everyone's like, oh yeah, dude, when he was on that yacht, right? We've been making yacht jokes for over a year now. So like whatever, we know that. Let's see what else we got here. Hold on, sorry, I got too many notifications. Yeah, Zakarian has bias. We all have bias, guys. We all have bias. I learned that when I was in grad school. So here we go. Extravagant spending and habit of bullying employees is said to have resulted in high employee turnover as the company struggled in the bear market. While leading the startup once valued at $7.6 billion, Roham traveled on private jets and stayed in luxurious accommodations that cost tens of thousands of dollars per night. I don't know. So like this part right here actually kind of bugs me the way that it's worded, because here's the thing. If this was framed like he used company funds to do so, which they kind of allude to, that to me is more alarming. Like if that's his personal funds that he's flying around on planes for, whatever. But if you're using the company funds for it, that's when we start looking at stuff a little differently. And then what we learned here, right? The company laid 22% of the staff off in November before laying off another 20%. You know what would be really interesting to me? I would love to know what type of communication happened within Dapper when the first set of layoffs happened, right? Because usually when something like this happens, because I've been a part of companies where something like this has happened, there's some sort of rah, we got this, a hurrah speech, right? What we're going to do moving forward, why this is okay, right? And we got some of that. We're like, actually, we've never been healthier. This has been a reorganization. But what I would like to know from Dapper employees that were there after the first initial cuts, how it was framed, how it was explained to them, and then if any of that came to fruition before the second round of cuts. Like, were people promised anything for staying on? Because when you think about the cuts, right, we initially think about the people who lost their jobs, which obviously, because they lost their jobs, we should think about that. However, it also turns into the people who still are there now are doing another job. They're doing more work than what they were doing prior. So their job got harder, and most likely they were compensated the same way. So I wonder what kind of dialogues happened when that happened. And then if any of that came to fruition before the next round of cuts, or if anybody assumed something was going to happen because of it was communicated through leadership, and then that inevitably did not happen, and then they got laid off in the second round of cuts, especially if they knew the second round of cuts were coming this whole time, but they didn't want to lay off 40% of their staff at once. They're like, what if we do 22% and then 20%? Those are thoughts I have. All right, let's keep going now. Let's keep going. I'm going to try to scream. Was I going to say I'm going to try to skim this? So this is the Diplo shit, right? We saw the post about Diplo couldn't get into the party on the private yacht. And then Rohan was like, don't worry, let him in, brother. And then he got let in. Okay, so that's whatever. That's fine. It only took about 3.5 years for him to guide Dapper to staggering $7.6 billion. Much of it realized during a bull run that saw cryptos and NFTs pump. Okay. Let's see some other stuff. But while Roham was often celebrated in the media by all of you guys, like Jumpshoot, who changed his PFP, lived in fear so they could, celebrated the media and business communities behind the scenes, BTS. Many of his company's employees lived in fear of what they called the erratic nature. Several employees also found the first-time CEOs' spendthrift ways imprudent, especially when the NFT market began to sour. Top Shot sales plummeted, and layoffs at Dapper became common. So, we gotta be honest there. Like, I'm not gonna put the bear market on Roham's spending, right? So those to me feel like two different things would be my guess. Anyways, let's keep going. So yeah, then they start again. I don't think this shit matters unless it's being used on companies' dimes, right? So a news spread of the Diplo party, hosted on the French Riviera, which cost more than $200,000 a week to charter, it landed like a gut punch for several Dapper employees who were worried about their job security in the turbulent market conditions. Okay. Additionally, according to several former employees, the private jet travel, pursuit of celebrity partners, and spending on luxurious accommodations, which at one point included an $85 million mansion, had people questioning priorities. The CEO's constant bullying and public shaming of employees only added to the fire, helping to stoke this culture. But I wanted to see the article that there was an expense. Anyways, we'll keep going. Spoke to 11 current current. So someone's still in there, and former employees for the store, including both staffers who left on their own volition and those who did not. So that means it's not just people who were laid off and fired, people who went off and found jobs elsewhere. Also, look at the Doucette in the chat. Dapper Labs acknowledged in a written statement that working in a startup can be hectic. You know what I love about this? And by love, I mean this facetiously. Hold on, let me finish it. Acknowledged written that working in a startup culture can be hectic, and that it has tried to create a safe and respectful workplace. We value each employee's contributions to our businesses and our communities, and we take this feedback seriously. Baby, I promise I won't hit you again. That's what that felt like reading that. Anyways, yeah, based on how this story is playing out, it seems 100% they are discussing corporate funds. I agree. I agree. That was the vibe I got. Several key investors, including Anderson Horowitz, didn't respond to requests for comments, whatever. There's a Diplo shit. Let me find, there's a couple of more things I wanted to pull out. We got poor management, cavalier behavior, whatever. Top Shot Collection has seen trading collapse, tumbling from monthly sales peak of 224 million to a mere 2.8 million. However, it did not reference connecting and collecting. So I find that this article is sus because that wasn't said anywhere here. This is the layoff shit we already talked about. The meteoric rises. I don't really care about the meteoric rises, right? We all know that. That's why we all gave them money for a while. Roped in by the high life. All right, here we go. Positioned as trailblazers, premier business publications like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, and Fast Company. Executive fame ascended along with Dapper's soaring valuation. According to sources, this is when his behavior began to turn. With NBA Top Shot generating buzz, he started receiving calls from famous entrepreneurs, celebrities, and top CEOs. Said one person familiar with the matter. 2 people said he could land a meeting with practically anyone he wanted, which is funny because I keep remembering people I know who have had interviews with him, and he was like taking his groceries out and not listening and was like dry. It was just like a bizarre experience. Anyways, let's keep going. I'm sorry if I'm missing stuff too in the chat, by the way. I'm just trying to get through this so we can talk about it. Okay, this is the stuff. The CEO began to fly frequently on private jets. According to 5 people familiar with the matter, the mode of travel became one of his priciest expenditures, as the trips would generally cost between $60K and $100K per flight. While on the ground, rented mansions whenever he traveled, including once renting a 12-bedroom, $85 million mansion in Beverly Hills that can cost $300K, according to 3 people. When not renting a mansion, the CEO often booked a 5-star hotel. But where is the line? As he considered the big ticket expenses integral to his strategy of cozying up to celebrities, they were often listed as marketing expenses, one person said. Now, if that can get confirmed, that to me is interesting. Anyways, let's keep going. Totally got roped into the high life, whatever. Living the high life. The notion that there's been excessive spending not tied to the company's strategy is inaccurate and misleading. That's what Dapper said. The company also said that CEOs personally funded some events. Our business is rooted in entertainment and sports. The statement also said we will have and will continue to spend money on high-impact events. Okay, let's keep going. Revolving door. So this is talking about people in and out, right? As Dapper quickly became a big old multi-billion-dollar darling, at least on paper. Its staff swelled to about 600 from 100 in less than 2 years, struggled to delegate or relinquish control or even minor details, according to many of the former employees who said the CEO was eager to take part in every possible decision to the point of micromanaging. Attitude reflects leadership, captain. And then Crypto Winter, the block spoke to it. It became increasingly frequent for Dapper's staff to either quit or be fired as the toxic work culture spiraled out of control. I wonder how many times people got fired and then it got like looped in with the layoffs. Did that happen a few times? LG said, is anyone shocked by any of this? You know what? I will say there are going to be people shocked by this, LG. I mean, I'm not shocked by this. We've been saying this forever. To me, this just speaks to the greater problem that's been going on forever that no one is willing to address, whether at least acknowledge that it's a problem or willing to address the problem, do anything about the problem, is that the leadership is broken. It was commonly throughout 2022 common for newly hired senior staff to last only a few months, as they would either quit after struggling. That shout out, what was that former GM that's now doing compost work? Remember? Employees' anxieties were also exacerbated by a culture of bullying, spurred by the propensity for public shaming staff on Slack or screaming at employees during video calls. Many of the people said employees opting to take mental health breaks became commonplace. People said, well, in honor of the mental health breaks, why don't we give ourselves one, huh? Let's do this one. Love to see it. Love to see it. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going. What else we got here in this piece? We already talked about the mental health. Tremendously excited. In a document obtained by The Block, which announced Dapper was laying 20% of its employees off, he told investors he's aimed to improve efficiency and that the company is in a strong cash position with no debt. Dapper also now finds itself in the midst of a court battle. We've already talked about that. In last week's memo to investors, said he's optimistic, saying Dapper's tremendously excited about several major launches coming up this year and more confident than ever that Web3 will remake digital life for better for billions. That's it. That's the article. So that is the piece. Listen, none of it. I can't stress enough, right? There's definitely going to be a little bit of bias in this with former staff. There's some current staff too, but like clearly, right, there was a point to this piece. Couple of things that I'm curious about. Are we still going to get the AMA? Also, I learned that how do we phrase this? I learned about the AMA that is geared to a select few people. They're just letting us listen this time. So it's not an ask me anything. It's ask me anything if you're part of a small group of people. And I also learned that the blog that's coming out was already done. The blog was already done for the questions that are coming out this week. So, like, even though they sent out that tweet being like, make sure, as always, we bring this up all the time. If you have any questions for us, just send it to this email. The blog was already done. Then they make it seem like Roham's going to be available to answer some questions. But you know what? It's probably going to be the same. Like, it just feels manipulative. It feels manipulative from the top down. And it does make me wonder, like, if the AMA was either scheduled purposefully because of this piece that they knew was coming out, or if it wasn't, will it be canceled? Like, will they just not do it? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm really curious. And listen, none of this is new. As LG said too, none of this is super surprising. I think a lot of us, seeing it written by someone else who's not living and breathing Dapper sports day in and day out, that makes it a little bit more surprising. Like when you listen to a very niche podcast, but then say like your parents are like, hey, have you heard about so-and-so in that podcast? You're like, whoa, this is like making major news. That's kind of what this feels like, right? It kind of feels like a light's being shown on something that was like a secret for us. And I think that's what makes it a little bit alarming. Not even alarming, but it makes it feel like a bigger deal. But as I said at the top of the show, I don't love doing this right now because I think it's like a little bit sensitive. But good Lord, like raise the flag, raise the banner. This is a W for Team Hold because we have been saying this stuff for freaking ever. And we were called out so many different things, right? I got DMs telling people I was bullying them. I got from people. I got Top Shot employees unfollowing me. I've got all of this stuff happening because we said fix the infrastructure. Don't repave the road with peanut butter. Put some goddamn cement in there, right? That's all we were asking. Take ownership and take accountability for the stuff. Yo, Ryan, I disagree. If I've been yelling this the whole time, it is a W. Maybe it's not a W for my pocketbook or my wallet or wherever I keep my funds. Like, yeah, it was an expensive W, but a W nonetheless. I just like, at some point, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to like embrace an L, learn from the L, move forward? Why can't we? Why? Peanut butter is the future phantom. Mr. GB Bruce, ballers. What do we think happens now? Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not a W, but it's a called it. Okay, fine. If we have to change the semantics to say I did a good job, yeah, savoring the I told you so. Chef's kiss. Anyways, what else we got? There was something I was just going to say right here. Paul said 122 viewers this morning. Did you hit 122 new marketing revenue strategy? More emergency streams? Yeah, you're no kidding. All right, couple more things. Well, what Mr. Ballers was saying, what do we think happens next? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, like, there's a board, right? There's a board of investors. So I wonder if this is serious enough that he has to answer to anybody, right? Because, I mean, I mean, there's a real possibility where like meetings are had, right? And they're like, we don't think you're capable of leading this team anymore. I don't know. I mean, especially because that it feels like that article makes it seem like there's one person, puppeteering everybody, right? And if that's the case, that's because when you do micromanage something like that, when it's all on your shoulders, when you are the one doing everything, yeah, you get to collect the W's, but the L is yours as well. So I do wonder. I do wonder. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? Greed is good. Thank you, Tandy. Tandy's here. Yeah, what happens next? Max passing all day. Who is on the board? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Is there no board? Like, is that a Googleable thing? What would it be? Dapper? Is it Dapper board? Dapper has board of directors. So the board of directors, is that what it be? Yeah, CEOs and executives. It's Roham. Dieter. Dieter Shirley. Mikhail Nyam is the CBO. Courtney McNeil's a board member. Jody Reback is the chief of staff. Scott Shipman and Mac Flavel. That's of November 2022, but who knows how many people. It's not a public company, no board. All right, there you go. No board. Just private investors. So forget it. Ryan's right. Forget it. Well, the good news is we can just max packs, baby. We can just buy all those packs. We can go forever, Just buy forever. Jericho's here. Good to see you. Okay, hold on. Jumpshoot says much of the company's existence, 3/5 of the company's board has included Roham, his brother Sam, and a college friend. Said one person familiar with the matter. There you go. Yeah. All right. Guys, I clearly don't have the answers to the board stuff. I'll let you guys fight it out in the chat. LG and Ryan, one-on-one, mano-y-mano. Cage match. I like this. You know what's fun about not knowing all of the ins and outs of something is that I guess, and then someone tells me I'm wrong, and I immediately am like, oh, I must be wrong. Like I don't even fight back until the chat's like, no, you can still have a board. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was pretty wild to see like Top Shot employees or former employees just come on in and just be like, dab on them. Like they're people taking victory laps. So you can tell probably like who was interviewed on that. I don't know. It's a bummer. I mean, like, listen, I hope they figure this shit out. And like, listen, if this has to be, I'm gonna save Dustin's comment. If this is what needs to happen in order to figure stuff out, in order to be held accountable for your actions, in order to move forward, then cool. Because here's the thing: it's not like prices can go lower. You got NBL, shout out Floaty, out there being like, "Well, good news, you can sell moments for 50 cents on Floaty." Thank God. Thank God. So right, like it's not like it's gonna get worse. The only thing that could get worse is the people, the Nine Lives Lounge bros, the Connection Collecting bros, the Twitter bros. The only thing that could get worse is like they quit. You know what I'm saying? What did Dustin say? Dustin said none of this is surprising. Rom's cavalier attitude was evident. He's a bad leader and that didn't know how to operate a company on a large scale. Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. Yeah, but the app is there. The app is there. So as long as we have the app. I mean, I think, who knows if this was connected or if this was telling at all. But just think about this. We basically operated with no Top Shot leadership for a while. Then they sneak attacked, threw in a leader in there. Didn't tell us for a little while, but just like played cool about it. Then they removed that leader, didn't tell any, still haven't told anybody about it. Still haven't addressed it. We only know this because they're tweeting now and put it on LinkedIn. Then the person who was in charge of all day was also in charge of Top Shot for a little bit. I don't think anybody talked about that, right? And then that person left on their own accord. And it makes you just wonder like how tied all of this is, And it could be tied. It could not be. It could just be like those could all be freak coincidences, right? Or they've created a toxic environment like was spelled out and they were like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. It's not worth it. My guess is we don't hear from anybody, that we don't hear any sort of real response. And you know what? They shouldn't, right? Like if a current Top Shot employee, like if Jacob came on a show or tweeted something out, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like there's no world in which that's going to happen. There's going to be some cookie cutter statement in the same way when the Dapper lawsuit thing happened or didn't get thrown out. I get a DM with like a cookie cutter response being like, this is our statement. Same thing. if anything, they're probably just going to like hold their nose and be like, you know what? Something else bad will happen in the next 48 hours and everyone will focus on that. Like this next pack drop. So I feel for all the people. And listen, I've said this before too. Like when the layoffs happen, clearly when layoffs happen, they're not taking the like upper, higher leadership positions, management positions, right? Um, uh, oh my goodness. Hold on. But when they're never letting go of the people that actually make change, they're letting go of the people that do the work. So just seeing less, like more bugs, more errors, like the communication, all of that stuff. Chris says, whether you realize it or not, if you have the bags, it's probably the best thing that could have happened. You now have some hope of change. Otherwise, it was guaranteed slow bleed out. Yeah. Yeah. OTM only has the prices of the Top Shot marketplace. We will see a site that integrates the overall price. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with what Chris said, by the way. Shout out Chris. That this is for the best. Like something like this needs to happen. And I'm sure, I guarantee you, save for maybe like 2 or 3 people, everyone inside Dapper right now who works for Dapper, guarantee this, save for like 2 or 3 people, are nodding their heads to the article. They're like, good. It's out there. It's out there. Because I'm telling you, from who I've talked to and what I know, people are on board with this. Like, no one is like, oh my God, I can't believe they made up a full article. I promise you that. I promise you that. But again, who knows? Hopefully we see some change from it. I would love to see Roham actually like address some of this shit on Friday. But my guess is they're going to be like, the questions are going to be like, how do you feel like supply has been in Series 4? And they're going to be like, well, we really made some adjustments. We really made some adjustments. Look at what we did in Series 3. Now look at what we did in Series 4. We're minting to demand. What's the captains? The captains? Like, we're going to hear a lot of stuff like that. No one's going to answer any hard questions. Oh, man. Hold on. I wanted to hold on. I thought there was something else in here. Colin says, so after they bounce Roham, does Series 2 McGee come back up to 80? No. Yeah, 4 million burn. 4 million burn. Net neutral. The tour. Yeah, we'll get a lot of that stuff. We're not going to get anything real. They're not going to get anything real. I mean, unless this is the first thing that starts holding them accountable. Which, listen, preach accountability and leadership, baby. Get on Twitter and poke the bear. I mean, listen, I tried to get on Twitter and poke the bear. I tried to see if we could get him on the show. I mean, listen, I made fun of them for not asking people for questions, and then all of a sudden they tweet something out saying we're asking for questions. I made fun of something else. All of a sudden that happened too. I'm just going to pull up Twitter just to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Also, if you guys missed this morning's show was a banger. We had a lot of fun talking about where Team Hold's doing. I'll drop a link into the chat here in a second. I'm not going to plug the bags. You know it in the Discord. But you go check it out. What would you ask in the AMA if you could get a few questions? I want to know what they think they're like. They're never going to answer it. I want to know, like, I want an honest assessment. Like, what are they doing? Do they feel like they've done a good job? What do they think they've done wrong? What are the things that they messed up on? I want to know, like, have you created a toxic environment? And if you haven't created a toxic environment, what has happened that is being misconstrued of toxicity? People are asking. I mean, whatever, dude. Let Janie's cooking. Let Janie cook on Twitter. I'm not gonna talk to her. Not gonna talk to her. But I'm glad she's. Listen, and I feel like I've talked to a handful of people that, are they worth talking about? I mean, whatever. They were interviewed, right? Clearly, so I'm assuming they were interviewed. They shared some thoughts. I can speak to Carrie's a little bit more. Carrie's tweet. I mean, like, Carrie seemed to do a great job. Seemed to like really work very, very hard, and is out there being like, she's glad it came out. So That's what I'll say. Janie, on the other hand, I don't know. I'm glad she's just tweeting memes again. Whatever. I mean, like Janie has to own some of her stuff too. I mean, she didn't make anything easy. All right, guys. Did we completely beat the dead Top Shot horse? I'm looking forward to people being like, he's only doing this show because he's making $9 a month on So Rare. People saying, who's Carrie? Carrie used to do all the social media stuff, and she was part of the first round of layoffs, I believe. Listen, all right. I think we call it there. As much as I kind of want to keep doing this, I got to go pick my dog up. I just got a text message to pick my dog up. Is there any final questions that you guys need to get in? Please check out the show from this morning. Speaking of like egomaniacal leadership, go give us some money. When decimal sales, you can do it on Floaty. I was saying you can do it on Floaty. The articles are definitely sites that cover Silicon Valley stuff, so it leads me to believe someone who with ties to the community helped contribute to it. Perhaps someone who, well, yeah. So Dustin, in the article, they said they talked to 11 former and current staff members. Top Shot Tesla. Still don't know what's going on, but we're early. We'll have more to talk about tonight on Shot Tank. Shot Tank is right here on this channel at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back. We'll also be back at 7 o'clock for 89 Cavs as well. But yeah, Quadzilla is here, so we got to get out of here. I recommend, like, this is what I would recommend today for everybody. Okay, I think you should be active on Twitter in the sense that you should laugh at a lot of the stuff that's going out there. Okay, there's a lot of jokes. You should enjoy the jokes, have fun, enjoy the jokes. I wouldn't lose your mind though. You know what I mean? Don't say anything mean. I believe someone in particular that enjoys a cigar. Oh, you know what we should? I'll share one thing before we go. I'm going to share one tweet with you before we go. And I think this outlines everything. And I actually think we're going to do a giveaway, not today, but we have 2 Top Shot Tony NFTs. And I feel like we're going to give one of those away soon. So I'm going to shout out Raptor News, by the way. Hold on. Let's share this. Look at this beauty right here. Look at this beauty of a tweet. This is a home run tweet right here. To think I was the sane one throughout all of this. Are you kidding me? Dustin asks, what does this mean for my loot for ballers? That's a good question. All right, gang, we're going to get out of here. Let's close with Dear Roham. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Looking forward to the next hit piece that comes out, and we can do it all over again. Dear Roham.
Say I'm trying, but all of the packs I'm buying are full of trash, so no